Democracies like India guarantee expansive liberties to its citizens. Including that of expression, of dissent and disagreements. So when the Supreme Court struck down the sedition charge against journalist Vinod Dua, the Apex Court was not only reiterating the guarantees of civil liberty that a citizen enjoys in India. The Editors Guild of India has welcomed the Supreme Court's decision to quash the sedition case against journalist Vinod Dua. Calling the judgment important, the Guild has also demanded that the government repeal such draconian and antiquated laws from the Penal Code. The sedition case in question that the Supreme Court squashed had been registered against Vinod Dua in Shimla, Himachal Pradesh, by a local BJP leader. The charge was made out against a report on the migrant situation of 2020 that Dua had posted on his YouTube channel.
Vinod Dua's YouTube had merely mentioned certain, criticism in the way the government had handled the pandemic. And that was made the subject matter of an FIR in a remote place beyond Shimla, saying that this amounts to sedition and also other offences under the IPC.
The Supreme Court bench held that he would be within his rights to say that as a journalist, he was touching upon issues of great concern so that adequate attention could be bestowed on the prevailing problems. The Supreme Court bench of Justices U.U. Lalit and Vineet Saran, however, declined the prayer of Vinod Dua that no FIR can be registered against any media personnel with 10 years' experience unless cleared by a committee. Section 124A of the Indian Penal Code states, whoever, by words, either spoken or written, or by signs, or by visible representation or otherwise, brings or attempts to bring into hatred or contempt, or excites or attempts to excite disaffection towards the government established by law, shall be punished with imprisonment for life, to which fine may be added, or with imprisonment which may extend to 3 years, to which fine may be added, or with fine. A rule introduced by the British government in 1870 continues to exist in 21st century India. Drafted by Thomas Macaulay to thwart rebellion, revolution and dissent against colonial rule, the sedition law was mainly used against political leaders seeking independence of India from Britain. In 1922, when charged with sedition by the British colonial government, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi famously said,
Section 124A, under which I am happily charged, is perhaps the prince among the political sections of the Indian Penal Code, designed to suppress the liberty of a citizen. Affection cannot be manufactured or regulated by the law. If one has no affection for a particular person or system, one should be free to give the fullest expression to his disaffection, so long as he does not contemplate, promote, or incite to violence.
Gandhi was slapped with the sedition charge for his articles published in a local magazine. Today, legal experts point out the irony of retaining a law that once persecuted India's independence heroes, and today do the same to its own citizens.
Because you say something as a dissentient. If you do it dissent for dissent, it is meaningless. But if you have genuinely something to say, you should be. In fact, that is the best way to become a stronger country.
There needs to be a serious rethink at this colonial law brought in by the British to control their colonial slaves, us, and therefore it needs a serious rethink.
We always intended to change it, but it is a useful law for administrators and no government has got round to actually abolishing it.
Ironically, the law was not revoked when India became independent. This, despite the country's first Prime Minister in 1951 expressing on record the need to get rid of it. Legal experts point out how the sedition law runs against the very idea of freedom of expression guaranteed under Article 19 of the Indian Constitution.
There are very rare cases where the offence of sedition needs to be applied, because today it is the law. And those, it should only be applied in the rarest of rare cases. Unfortunately, what is happening is today sedition is applied a little too liberally. You cannot, when you have a right to freedom of speech, you cannot allow police officers to impose sedition on offences on acts of such a nature where you are voicing your protest or voicing your concern about certain governmental or administrative actions.
Legal experts also point out that the vagueness in its wordings has allowed the sedition law to be misused.
The section is very widely written, and it was written widely in colonial times, exercising disaffection against the government which is lawfully constituted. Today it can be so widely construed that if you say that the current government knows nothing about economic policy, that also would be garnering disaffection. Therefore, the Supreme Court was very careful after the Constitution came in Kedarnath's case, to cut down the section only to cases which incited violence and there was resultant violence. But policemen do not necessarily read Supreme Court judgments or follow the Supreme Court judgments in the first instance.
In throwing out the case against Vinod Dua, the Supreme Court once again held that every journalist will be entitled to protection in terms of the Kedarnath Singh judgment, effectively meaning that a journalist cannot face FIR for raising concerns and criticizing the government unless there is active call for incitement of violence. The court said a citizen has a right to criticize or comment upon the measures undertaken by the government and its functionaries, so long as he does not incite people to violence against the government established by law or with the intention of creating public disorder. In recent years, Indian citizens have been charged with sedition for having a Twitter toolkit case, or liking a Facebook post, cheering a rival cricket team, for appreciating the people of Pakistan, drawing cartoons, or denouncing a yoga guru, or not standing up in a cinema theatre when the national anthem is being played. Not just these, Section 124A has also been used to curb dissent against the government in power. For decades, successive Indian governments have chosen to not revoke the law. The colonial era law continues to be used against students, journalists, authors, intellectuals, social activists, and many who chose to dissent against the government's actions. Data from the National Crime Records Bureau shows the number of sedition cases have been on a rise. 2016 saw 34, 2017 saw 58, while in 2018 there were 90 cases on trial. The data also revealed, out of the 90 sedition cases that went to trial in 2018, proceedings were completed in only 13 cases. Conviction happened only in 2 cases in which 2 men were sentenced, while 21 people were acquitted in 11 cases. This highlights that it has more to do with slapping the sedition charges than proving the offence convincingly in a court of law. The sedition law has been used not just by the Modi-led NDA government, but the previous UPA government as well, to quell dissent, protests, and criticism.
I know of only one case where a life imprisonment was actually inflicted. That was in Chhattisgarh in Dr. Binayak Sen's case. You must remember that after that, there has been no other case where any prosecution has been successful.
In 2010, when the courts sentenced a public health specialist and human rights activist to life in prison for allegedly helping Maoists, the Congress-led UPA was in power. Later, the Supreme Court of India scrapped the sedition charges against him and granted bail to Dr. Binayak Sen.
Certainly, sedition is part of the process that is a punishment for dissenters. I don't think that there is any legitimate form of sedition. I don't think that sedition can be characterized as illegitimate under any circumstance. Dissent should be central to any democracy, and the power of the people must be seen to be in operation. Instead of the power of the people being seen under the present circumstances, we have mob rule, which is coming again and again, which is manifesting itself again and again. We are having mob rule. We do not have a legitimate form of dissent which is creative. So we cannot legitimize the use of military power by the state. We cannot legitimize the use of the 1,500 people in Manipur. We cannot legitimize the kinds of murderous use of state power in Kashmir. We cannot do that and then start talk about. We have to delegitimize all use of state power, and we have to find ways to institute. A discourse, a political discourse, in which the cause of the people is paramount.
This is a useful law to keep useful idiots under control. It is like this, that the sentence is up to life imprisonment. Therefore, it's a harsh sentence. You can always file an FIR under the law, threaten somebody with a life sentence, and then critics tend to shut up. It has a chilling effect on free speech.
Compared to its colonial history, today's sedition charges seem to target selected individuals. In most cases, sedition charges are rarely levied against a large group. Instead, authorities focus on a few individuals they see as leading or representing a movement. After almost 2 months of countrywide protests against the new Citizenship Amendment Act and the proposed National Register of Citizens, and around 40 days of Delhi's Shaheen Bagh emerging as an iconic protest site against the Modi government's move, a video emerged.
पहले भी शायद अर्ज कर चुका हूं, 5 लाख लोग हमारे पास हो ऑर्गेनाइज्ड, तो हम हिंदुस्तान और नॉर्थ ईस्ट को परमानेंटली कट कर सकते हैं। पर हम परमानेंटली नहीं तो कम से कम 1 महीने के लिए तो कट कर ही सकते हैं। मतलब इतना मवाद डालो पटरियों पर, रोड पे, उनको हटाने में 1 महीना लगे, है कि नहीं? जाए एयरफोर्स से, असम को काटना हमारी जिम्मेदारी है। असम और इंडिया कट के अलग हो जाए, तभी ये हमारी बात सुनेंगे। असम में जो मुसलमानों का हाल है आपको पता है, सीए नाफिज हो चुका है, वहाँ डिटेंशन कैंप में लोग डाले जा रहे हैं, है ना? और वहां तो खैर कत्लेआम चल रहे हैं, 6-8 महीने पता चलेगा सारे बंगालियों को मार दिया गया, हिंदू हो या मुसलमान, ठीक है? तो अगर हमें असम की मदद करनी है तो हमें असम का रास्ता बंद करना होगा फौज के लिए, समझ रहे हैं? फौज के लिए, और जितने भी जो भी यहाँ से सप्लाई जा रहा है बंद करो, और वो बंद कर सकते हैं क्योंकि चिकन नेक्स्ट मुसलमानों का है, वो जो इलाका है मुस्लिम अक्सरियत है।
In the video, Sharjil calls for long road blockades which will block off Assam from the rest of the country as an act to grab the government's attention. On 28 January, after 5 states filed an FIR against Sharjil, the former coordinator of Shaheen Bagh protest was arrested in Bihar. His lawyers claimed he surrendered. Days later, news of his confession emerged where he admitted to making the statements, but claimed that the remark was made in the heat of the moment. Many protested against the government's hunt for Sharjeel, claiming that they were targeting him for his involvement in Shaheen Bagh. Days later, Mumbai police registered a case against protesters who demonstrated against Sharjeel's arrest. Some of these protesters have been charged with sedition.
अभी जो देश के राज्य वित्त मंत्री हैं अनुराग ठाकुर, उन्होंने गोली मारने की खुलेआम बात की, तो इलेक्शन कमीशन ने उनके ऊपर कार्रवाई किया, लेकिन उनके ऊपर देशद्रोह का मुकदमा नहीं किया। और देशद्रोह एक सेंसिटिव चीज है। ये सत्यनारायण स्वामी का प्रसाद नहीं है कि आप सुबह उठेंगे और बांट देंगे किसी को भी। अभी कर्नाटक में मैं आपको बता दूं, स्कूली बच्चों के ऊपर देशद्रोह लगा दिया गया। अगर देशद्रोह जैसे गंभीर आरोपों का इस तरीके से मिसयूज किया जाएगा, ये हमारे देश की एकता, अखंडता और सुरक्षा व्यवस्था के लिए ठीक नहीं है।
Kanhaiya Kumar would know. In 2016, a video featuring him and other Jawaharlal Nehru University students went viral. In the grainy video, Kanhaiya can be seen delivering a fiery speech.
फिर कहा जाएगा कि फेलोशिप बंद हो गया। ये संघी पैटर्न है, ये आरएसएस और एबीवीपी का पैटर्न है, जिस पैटर्न से वो मुल्क को चलाना चाहते हैं।
A day later, the Delhi police arrested him and charged him with sedition and criminal conspiracy. Not over the speech, but a different event that had taken place in JNU a couple of days ago. One in which Kanhaiya maintained he did not shout any slogans.
ना मैं किसी देश विरोधी नारे को लगाता हूं, ना उसका समर्थन करता हूं।
Kanhaiya Kumar's arrest snowballed into a major political controversy in 2016. The fact that serious charges like sedition were filed against a student leader drew flack from opposition parties and citizens.
There is no seriousness in the investigation. There is no application of mind. First, whether it actually is sedition is a very big issue. Secondly, you know if it's serious, you have to take sanction. You don't take sanction from the appropriate authority. There's a dispute about that, which means it is politically being determined. That's not a good thing. You have to allow the police and the investigation agencies to do their job. None of the governments want the investigation agencies to do their job independently, and that is the major problem. Today what is happening is institutions and agencies are losing their independence. They lost their independence partly earlier, but they are losing it far more today than ever before.
Amid calls for re-examining the law and moving towards repealing the colonial-era provision, Narendra Modi-led BJP made its stance over the sedition law clear before the 2019 general elections. While the Congress, for the first time in its electoral history, promised to do away with the law if voted to power, the BJP leaders insisted that they will make the sedition law stronger if they won.
राहुल गांधी ने अपने मैनिफेस्टो में लिख कर दिया है कि जो लोग कहेंगे भारत तेरे टुकड़े होंगे, राहुल गांधी उनका समर्थन करें।
कोई भारत को तोड़ने की कोशिश करता है, भारत की सामाजिक समरसता को तार-तार करने की कोशिश करता है, क्या उसे माफ किया जाना चाहिए? लेकिन ये कहते हैं राष्ट्रद्रोह का कानून हम आएंगे समाप्त कर देंगे। ये किसको संदेश देना चाहते हैं? लेकिन बहनों भाइयों, मैं तो कहूंगा कि सच में हमारी सरकार बनेगी तो राष्ट्रद्रोह के कानून को और हम सख्त बनाएंगे और कड़ा हम इसे बनाएंगे।
In May 2019, the BJP, led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Amit Shah, came back to power with an unprecedented majority.
In all these cases, because they are considered to be serious, you are arrested and don't get bail. So even if the matter doesn't actually go to trial, you spend so many years in jail, it's a punishment itself. And governments know that. So they do that. They take up cases which are not really substantial, have any substance, and they actually make you run through the system, which actually adversely affects the liberty of an individual.
In its second stint, the NDA government under Modi faced challenges beyond the citizenship law protests. There was the whole issue of the pandemic and its handling that has been criticized. with journalists like Vinod Dua having to face charges like sedition. Another journalist who has been charged with sedition is Siddique Kappan. In October 2020, Kappan, a freelance journalist, was on his way to cover the gang rape of a minor Dalit girl in Hathras, Uttar Pradesh. The case had been generating outrage across the country when the UP police added to the controversy by arresting Kappan and 3 other activists. Amongst the charges that the police filed were those under Indian Penal Code sections 153A, promoting enmity between groups, 295A, outraging religious feelings, and 124A, sedition. In March 2021, the Supreme Court of India had to remind the country that dissent is not sedition. It was doing so while throwing out a PIL against the National Conference chief Farooq Abdullah. A complaint had been filed against the former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister for speaking out against the repeal of Article 370. Time and again, the Supreme Court had come down against governments, state and centre, using Section 124A against those who took anti-government stands. The origin of the sedition law can be traced back to medieval England, as it reflects a relation between a ruler and the ruled. In 1906, the Bombay High Court stated that such a feeling of disaffection can only exist between the ruler and the ruled. It also defined disaffection to mean enmity, hatred, or hostility, or contempt, and no doubt include all these.
Very easy to lodge an FIR saying that sedition has occurred. The policeman can then use the fact of an FIR to arrest people. After that, he cannot file a charge sheet without actually getting consent from the government. That never happens, or that happens rarely. Even if permission is given and the matter goes to trial, mostly because these are badly invoked cases where no sedition has happened, according to the definition laid down by the Supreme Court in Kedarnath's case, the case at the trial will fail.
Disaffection, and a person by words or other means expressing disloyalty or creating disaffection among a section of people. And that is the nature of the offence. So it's very, very broadly worded. However, in the 1962 Supreme Court judgment where this provision was challenged, it was made clear that strongly worded criticism of government or government bodies is not disaffection.
The United Kingdom, where the sedition law originated, chose to abolish it in 2009. The former colonial power maintained that sedition and seditious and defamatory libel are arcane offences from a bygone era when freedom of expression wasn't seen as the right that it is today.
Are free men in an independent country and free to think and express our thoughts. You cannot freely express your thoughts if you have such a Damocles sword always lying on your head and liable to misuse.
I want you to tell me where I'm wrong, where my ideas are wrong. You don't disrespect a person. You respect the person and his views or her views or the transgender person's views. But you will be constructively critical to say, I don't agree with that. That is the spirit of democracy, freedom of speech.
Everybody represents the sovereign. Every citizen represents, because sovereignty is a combined right of the citizenry, and therefore sedition has no place in a democratic constitutional republic as in India.
Now that the ruler's rule is long over and a sovereign democracy has existed, can public disaffection against a people-powered government still be called seditious?